Hello, Sophie. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me today for my entrepreneurship class.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, today we're going to be discussing this Forbes article I read about the 4 pillars of customer acquisition strategy. And just to summarize it a little bit, the 4 pillars that the author goes into are vision, target, messaging, and profitability. So the author just kind of talks about how all of these pillars are important in finding customers, finding good customers, finding like who the right customers are. So just a little bit more into that. Vision is just a clear understanding of your end goals so you know what kind of customers you're looking for. Target is identifying the ideal customer and knowing exactly what who you're selling to. Messaging is learning how to market and tailor your product to the customer, the ideal customer. And profitability is understanding who a good customer is and being able to put all your effort and time into these good customers that will keep your business going. And I know you have some questions.
Yes, I do. I have prepared some questions for you based off of this Forbes article. So, how have you used finding a target consumer in your entrepreneurship class so far?
Yeah, so with our big project, which is the t-shirt project, we have had to do a lot in finding customers and finding who the right customer would be so we know exactly who to sell to. So with our t-shirt, it is for Mifflin. So we our main target customer is students at UW-Madison. So we've been working a lot into just seeing who exactly the right student is and what kinds of students would want to buy our shirt, what they want to buy it for, and then also looking at the reasons why they might not want to buy it and kind of looking at how we can fix those reasons or understand them, and sometimes also how we can't, because sometimes issues just can't be solved, like if it's money or people just don't want to spend the money, or maybe they just don't even like the t-shirt, they just might not be the ideal customer for us.
That makes a lot of sense. My second question is, how do you go about finding out who the ideal consumer is for your
I think the best thing to do is kind of put yourself in the customer's shoes so you know exactly why they'd be looking at your product, why, like the why of the customer. Like, so instead of just looking at what, you want to look at why, so you can tailor right to them and you can make your product even better for them, just to make it so that you know you're selling to the right person, which will help you eventually make a profit, and also just making sure that you're not wasting your time on people who maybe are not interested in your product, and making sure you're not tailoring to people that aren't your ideal customer.
Yeah, okay, and then I have one last question. So I am not a business student at all. So you keep talking about a good consumer. Like, what makes a consumer a good consumer?
Yeah, so basically a good consumer is who is going to be eventually making your business have a profit rather than just someone who might buy something one time. So what you want in a business is loyal customers who really like your product, who talk good about your product, whatever you're selling. And so, you want to find these good customers that are putting time into your business and you're getting time out of it. You don't want to be spending all your time into these not bad customers, but customers who aren't necessarily going to be giving you much out of it, like maybe a small profit, but you really want to focus on these customers that are going to help your business get gains and grow. And okay, so I just wanted to ask you some quick questions if you're putting yourself in the shoes of an entrepreneur, because I know you said you don't necessarily do a lot of business, but I think kind of in your life, maybe at some point you'll do some entrepreneurship.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
So I was wondering, if you were to start a business, how is the first way you would think to look for a customer?
To look for a customer, maybe do some advertising and see like what engagement I get and narrow down from there like who's interested in the product I'm selling.
Yes, that's good. And then also on top of that, like once you have your ideal customer, who you think your ideal customer is, how are you going to keep advertising to that person, marketing towards them?
There's always ads online. Also, I think if I were to start a business, I would start like an email chain or something for rewards members, so that way people who keep buying my products get pros to continue to come back to my store.
Yes.
And also have a way to contact them.
Yeah, that's good. And just kind of also like, how do you think, this is just an opinion, maybe you've never experienced this, how do you think you would go about finding like the target customer? Like if you narrow it, like what we've been doing in class is narrowing it down to one person, finding like the ideal customer, and obviously you're going to have more broad than that in a category, but just finding the one person, like that's the ideal exact target customer.
That's a really good question. I don't know if I necessarily have an answer for, but I mean, shows why I should take entrepreneurship classes.
I mean, I've learned a lot through this t-shirt project, and I mean, kind of just even looking at like you, like I thought you were one of my ideal customers for the t-shirt, because you're my friend, you are a UW-Madison student, you're probably going to Mifflin hopefully, and so just like I think it's really important to narrow it down to one person, which seems kind of counteractive because obviously when you're selling, you're not selling to one person. You want to sell to as many people as you can. But I think just learning about how you have to like really narrow it down to know exactly who you want to sell it to is really important in making a like good marketing and customer profile.
Absolutely, yes.
I think that the conversation that I had with Sophie, who I interviewed, was a very interesting conversation to have, considering that she has never taken any business or entrepreneurship classes before, as I had not before this class. I think listening to her answers to the questions I asked and also like seeing her reaction to the answers that I gave, it was very interesting to think that I had a similar perspective before taking this class. I had just to see that how much I've learned and how much knowledge I've gained about entrepreneurship, business, marketing, selling things in general, especially through the t-shirt project. I think one thing that I really noticed that I've learned a lot is how to attract customers, what kind of customers you're looking for, which is what the article I read was about. And I think focusing on how to find your ideal or target customer is something I had never really thought of before. And for the t-shirt project, with the assignment that we did, finding like the one target customer, really shortening down your audience to one person, I had never really thought about entrepreneurship like that before, and neither had Sophie talking to her about the conversation. I asked her a question thinking like how maybe she would go about finding her target customer, and she wasn't quite sure. And so I kind of answered the question thinking about, narrowing down your categories, figuring out who your one target customer would be, and I think it was just very interesting to think about how she kind of has a similar perspective as I had before taking this class. I also think we talked a lot about how you keep this customer, how you decide what customers are good customers, how you decide who you should spend your time marketing towards, and who is really liking your product. And I think it's interesting thinking how for my t-shirt project, Sophie is one of the ideal customers that I wrote about, considering she's my friend. She's a UW-Madison student, she's a freshman, and she's planning to go to Mifflin. I think it was very interesting talking to her directly about my product and how I was narrowing down my customers, how we are marketing our t-shirt towards people, how we decided on our t-shirt and what we thought people would buy. Overall, I think this conversation was really good, and I think she learned a lot, and I also think I learned a lot thinking about my perspective before taking this class.